In the cold, brittle air above northern France in early 1944, German pilots thought they understood the American P-47 Thunderbolt. It was a heavyweight, unstoppable in a dive, tough as railroad iron, and, most importantly, slow to climb. They'd fought it for months and built their tactics around its weakness. Hit the escort from above, rake through one pass, then pull up hard and let gravity and geometry do the rest. The Thunderbolt, 7 tons of metal and radial roar, would try to follow and then give up, wallowing at the edge of a stall. It was a comfortable certainty, the kind of rule that felt as fixed as physics. That certainty died in a single, disorienting moment. Over a winter landscape brushed white and gray, a formation of BF-109s turned to the west and saw 8 Thunderbolts sliding in, contrails stretching like chalk lines across the sky. The German leader, seasoned confident, ordered the standard escape, nose up, angle high, pull for the vertical. Then he heard it, a deeper, more violent howl from the lead P-47, the sound of something pushed past its old limits. Wisps of vapor fluttered back from the jug's exhaust stacks, and instead of sinking away, the Thunderbolt rose with him, meter for meter, holding the line of pursuit that should have been impossible. In an instant, decades of pilot instinct screamed that the balance had shifted. The change hadn't arrived overnight, even if it felt like sorcery the first time a German ace saw it. In hangars from Farmingdale to Boxstead, American engineers have been working with a single ruthless question. How do you erase the jug's only glaring flaw? The answer came in 2 pieces that locked together like cogs, chemical intercooling and a better bite on the air. The first was a water-methanol injection system, ADI, that sprayed a 50-50 mixture into the supercharger stream. The water slashed intake temperatures. The methanol boosted effective octane and contributed energy to the burn. Detonation, the old enemy at high manifold pressure, was tamed. The big R, 2800, could now be dragged beyond its former red line to deliver war emergency power. Nearly 2,800 horsepower on command. The second piece was as visible as a clenched fist. Hamilton's standard paddle blade propellers, 13 feet of broad, muscular airfoils that converted torque into thrust at lower speeds where the old, toothpick blades had slipped. Even without ADI, the new propellers added hundreds of feet per minute to the climb. Together, the pair of upgrades did not tweak the jug. They transformed it. The same airframe, the same brutal durability. But now with the vertical performance pilots had begged for. The first squadrons to receive the modifications felt the difference in their bones. Pilots who had learned to accept the jug's vertical handicap now pushed the throttle past a mechanical gate, heard the engine note drop into a hard-edged howl, and watched the rate of climb needle surge. They learned to ration that 5-minute burst of fury, the precious water-methanol supply that turned the aircraft into something new. Word spread through ready rooms and mess tents in a language only pilots use. She goes up now. If he tries to spiral away, stay with him. You've got it. Across the channel, the message spread in darker tones. German controllers vector intercepts as they always had, but radio calls grew strained. The first time a kept pulled into the old escape climb and found AP-47 glue behind them, still accelerating, still eating up vertical distance. The disbelief was palpable. Veteran aces who'd built their survival on instinct felt their mental maps crack. That comfort, attack, zoom, climb away clean, no longer mapped to reality. And reality bites hard at 300 miles per hour. Technically, the transformation made perfect sense. Gasoline alone, at higher manifold pressures, pushed the R-2800 into detonation. The ADI mixture flooded the charge with a coolant that evaporated instantly, hammering down temperature, while methanol's octane lifted the detonation ceiling. A few minutes of safe, extraordinary boost appeared where none had existed. Meanwhile, The paddle blades gave the engine something worthy to push against. Torque became climb instead of heat and noise. In a war where every scrap of performance mattered, this was alchemy backed by metallurgy and chemistry. Tactics shifted overnight. Thunderbolt units that once favored shallow, energy-preserving climbs for safety began to use vertical hooks and spirals to stay on a fleeing 109's tail. A German pilot, expecting the American fighter fall away, would instead see it hold the angle. Its 8.50 calibers kept cold for the one clean shot that mattered. The Jug's famous dive, fast as a falling safe, didn't go anywhere. If anything, its authority out of vertical made exits deadlier. Now, the Thunderbolt could decide the terms of the fight more often, choosing when to go up, when to go down, and when to simply absorb fire and keep coming. Pilots felt the psychology as much as the physics. The sound of ADI at work, deeper, harsher, became a warning siren to those on the receiving end. The faint steam trails drifting from cowl flaps and exhaust stacks were a visual tell that the Jug was in its hunting mode. German, Italian, and later Japanese pilots reported a similar first reaction, disbelief, then a hard recalculation of what was still possible. Some lived to adapt. Many did not. The change rippled into strategy. Altitude had been a sanctuary for interceptors massing above the bomber streams. But as more P-47 groups received the upgrades, escorts could climb earlier, hold higher cover, and pounce on defenders forming for a slashing attack. The Luftwaffe's preferred rhythm, assemble, strike, zoom away, was interrupted by a new variable. Thunderbolts waiting for them to vertical, unafraid to follow. With each month, the bomber formations met defenders who were fewer, less cohesive, and more cautious. It wasn't uniform perfection. Early mishaps appeared as ground crews learned the ADI system's quirks. The methanol content mattered. The plumbing needed to be winter-proofed. Pilots needed discipline not to burn their 5 minutes too early. But the system was intentionally soldier-proof. One gated throttle, one clear cue, and power on demand. In the aggregate, across hundreds of aircraft, the learning curve ascended fast.